When it comes to the NHL draft, sometimes selecting second overall can be more of a struggle than selecting first overall. Now, looking back through history, there have been some amazing players who have been taken second overall in the draft. So today I will be making a tier list ranking every second overall pick from the year 2000 all the way to today. Now, I will be judging these players solely off what we know today, not really based on the potential that they could have in a few years, because I got a lot of feedback last video when I ranked first overall picks saying that it got confusing halfway through, so we're going to make it plain and simple in this one. So before we get started today, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and like this video, and let's get right into it. So in 2000, the Atlanta Thrashers select Danny Heatley, and if you're a fan of hockey, you probably have heard the saying Heatley 50 in 07. Danny Heatley was an exceptional second overall pick. He won the Calder Trophy in his rookie season, had two 100-point seasons in 2005-2006 and 2006-2007, and finished his career with 791 points in 869 games played. What else is there to say? He was a solid player and was well worth the pick. In fact, I think that the Islanders probably wish they took him first overall ahead of Rick DiPietro. Heatley is not a Hall of Famer to me, but I would probably consider him to be in the Hall of Very Good. I think he was an exceptional player. In 2001, the Ottawa Senators select Jason Spezza with their second overall pick. Spezza was a very good NHL player, with his peak being in Ottawa between 2005 to 2009. Spezza was a solid top-line player and could potentially make the Hall of Fame, but outside of his career point total with 995 in 1,248 games played, he never really won a Stanley Cup or any individual accolades either. I think he also belongs in the Hall of Very Good. He was a good selection at second overall and a very good player, but I don't think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. In 2002, the Atlanta Thrashers select Kari Lehtonen as their second overall pick, but he is more known for his time spent in Dallas rather than Atlanta. Lehtonen is the only goalie taken second overall on this list, and his numbers really just speak for themselves. Lehtonen never had a save percentage below .900, but like his previous two selections, his hardware is practically non-existent. He finished his career with a .912 save percentage and a .271 goals against average. I think he may also be considered for the Hall of Fame in some people's eyes, but for me, the lack of Vezina trophies and Stanley Cups bump him down to the Hall of Very Good. In 2003, though, we have the Carolina Hurricanes selecting Eric Staal with their second overall pick. Staal has had a very good career in the NHL with 1,063 points in 1,365 games played. He won a Stanley Cup in the 2005-06 season and is currently not on an NHL team, but who knows, maybe he could return. I don't think he's retired yet. As far as second overall picks go, I think this is exactly what a franchise is looking for when they make that selection. Maybe it's a bit high, but I think he does belong in the Hall of Fame at some point. Bringing Carolina a cup is really what sets him above the other guys on this list, and he managed to crack the 1,000 point mark. I believe he's fringe of Hall of Very Good and Hall of Fame, but I'll put him in the Hall of Fame spot for now. In 2004, right after the Capitals select Alex Ovechkin, the Pittsburgh Penguins take Evgeny Malkin with their second overall pick, and the rest is just history. Malkin has played his entire career in Pittsburgh, winning 3 Stanley Cups, a Conn Smythe Trophy, a Hart Trophy, a Ted Lindsay Award, and 2 Art Ross trophies. Malkin has 1,269 points in 1,110 games played and has been a crucial piece to this Penguins dynasty over the past 10 years. In my opinion, he's easily a Hall of Fame player, and at some point he was even the best player on that Penguins roster, which is got to be hard to do when you have a guy like Sidney Crosby on your team. I think he's easily going to be a Hall of Fame player by the end of his career. In 2005, Bobby Ryan is taken second overall by the Anaheim Ducks, right behind Sidney Crosby, and this one does get a little bit tricky. Let me start by saying the potential of Bobby Ryan was through the roof, but unfortunately some off-ice issues really derailed his career. Ryan finished with 569 points in 866 games played with the Ducks, Senators, and Red Wings. Ryan won the Bill Masterson Award for fighting through adversity and was a very good player in the NHL. I'm going to place him in the top-line contributor category, mainly because without the off-ice issues, I think he really could have excelled in his career. It seems like he's doing great today, which is awesome to see, and honestly, I just really liked him as a player, so I'm going to place him here for now. In 2006, the Pittsburgh Penguins select Jordan Staal with their first overall pick, and unlike his brother Eric, I think Jordan was just kind of an average player. I like all of the Staal brothers, but if you are going to be the second overall pick, I think you need to do a bit more than 661 points in 1,223 games played. That's about half a point per game, which isn't bad, but it's also not great. He won a Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh, and outside of that, hasn't really accomplished much individually. People might disagree with this, but I'm going to put him in the good but not worth the pick category. Compared to his brother alone, he has 400 less points, so I think there's a gap in talent between those two guys, and I just feel like there may have been some better selections in that draft to take over this guy. In 2007, right behind Patrick Kane, the Philadelphia Flyers select James Van Riemsdyk, who really grew into a solid NHL player. JVR has played with the Flyers, Leafs, and now the Bruins, where he has 624 points in 987 games played, and here's really where the tough part comes in. I think he was worth selecting second overall, but I also think I can't put him above Jordan Staal at this point. When it comes to JVR, he's a great gritty player, but has never really been the best guy on his team and has never had a season above 70 points. I'm going to put him in the good but not worth the pick category. I think that's a suitable spot for him, but maybe I could be convinced he could be bumped up for some of his career as a top line contributor, but at this point I think this is where he belongs. In 2008, the LA Kings select Drew Doughty with their first overall pick, and for the most part this pick has been incredible for the hockey club. Doughty has been the backbone of the Kings defense, has helped lead the organization to 2 Stanley Cups back in 2012 and 2014, also winning a Norris Trophy in the 2015-16 season. Doughty is a fantastic player and was well worth the pick for the Kings. He may even get his number retired by the Kings at some point. I think this is an easy one. He's going to be a Hall of Fame player, so that's where I'm going to place him. Back-to-back years with 2 great defensemen being taken at the number 2 spot. In 2009, the Tampa Bay Lightning select Victor Hedman with their second overall pick. Hedman may be the most sturdy and reliable defenseman in the league. He has 2 Stanley Cups with the Lightning, a Norris Trophy in the 2017-18 season, and like Doughty, the two have just been very stellar since starting their careers with the Kings and Lightning. With similar careers, I gotta place Hedman in the Hall of Fame as well. Who knows, maybe he'll win another Stanley Cup, but this guy has just been very dominant since joining the league. In 2010, the Boston Bruins select Tyler Seguin with their second overall pick, and Seguin became a very solid player for both the Bruins and the Stars. From 2013 to 2018, Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin were the face of the Dallas Stars, and in his career, he has 776 points in 952 games played. A Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins back in 2011, and this year he's kind of revitalized his career with 40 points in 51 games played. Not bad for a second overall pick, and I think Seguin belongs in the top line contributor category at this point in his career. If he wins one more cup, I think I'll be able to bump him up for sure, but right now this is where he belongs. In 2011, the Colorado Avalanche select Gabriel Landeskog, who turned out to be the captain of this team and would lead them to a Stanley Cup in the 2021-22 season. Landeskog's leadership is his best quality, but he also possesses a strong offensive game that the Avalanche surely missed this season. In his career, he has 571 points in 738 games played, a Stanley Cup, a Calder Trophy from his rookie season, and I think Landeskog is just a great top-line contributor altogether. Hopefully he can come back from his injuries, because when he's on the Avalanche, this team is easily the best team in all of hockey, but I'm going to place him in that top-line contributor spot right now. In 2012, the Columbus Blue Jackets select Ryan Murray, who has been a fine player. It's not really anything special or worth mentioning with some of the best guys on this list. Murray has become a sort of journeyman defenseman who has never really played a full 82-game season. In fact, he's never played in 70 games either. There really isn't too much to say about this player. He's been injured for most of his career. He's a fine bottom-line defenseman, but in terms of second overall picks, I kind of consider him to be a bust. He just really hasn't performed to what the standard of these other guys have set. In 2013, the Florida Panthers select Alexander Barkov with their second overall pick, and for the most part of his career, he has been wildly underrated. Barkov has been an awesome asset for the Panthers with 679 points in 709 games played. He won the Selke Trophy in the 2018-19 season and is usually up for the award every single year. He's a reliable player on both sides of the rink, and personally, I would take this guy on my team any day of the week. Right now, I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame based on not having any Stanley Cups or the fact that he has very limited individual awards, but he's easily going to be in the Hall of Very Good for me and potentially could be bumped up depending on how the rest of his career goes. This next one is becoming more and more interesting. Now, before the season, I would have probably placed Reinhart in the good but not worth the pick category, but with him having such a great year this season, I think he's going to be moved up a bit on this list. Right now, he has 38 goals in 51 games and has 507 points in 665 games played. Reinhart is a very solid player and has really grown into one of the better goal scorers in the NHL. I think at this point I gotta place him in the top line contributor category. I think that's where he belongs at this point in his career, and he really has shown that next step this year with the Panthers. In 2015, the Buffalo Sabres select Jack Eichel with their second overall pick. While Jack may not have worked out in Buffalo, his time in Vegas has really been great for the organization. Jack has 490 points in 518 games played and won a Stanley Cup last season. His biggest issue has been staying healthy, but when he's on the ice, you'll have a hard time rooting against this guy. Jack to me is easily easily in the Hall of Very Good right now. I don't think he has enough individually for me to place him in the Hall of Fame, but I do think one day he'll reach that status and was well worth the second overall selection for the Sabres. In 2016, the Winnipeg Jets select Patrik Laine, who really came right out of the gate as one of the best and brightest goal scorers in the league. Like Eichel, Laine's biggest issue is his health. When on the ice, the potential is through the roof, but he is injured way too often, and it feels like his struggles lately have really just diminished his game. As a fan of Laine, I hope he can get back on track, but at the moment I can't really justify putting him any higher than the good but not worth the pick category. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he can get back to being the amazing player that we all know he can be, but right now this is where he's going to land on my list. In 2017, the Philadelphia Flyers select Nolan Patrick, who hasn't really amounted to much in his short career. In 222 games played, he has 77 points and was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights as a bottom six forward. At this point, I think Patrick is a fine bottom six forward, but I already consider him to be a bust as a second overall pick. He may be a good player, but I never would have taken him that high if I'd known that this is what his career would look like. In 2018, the Carolina Hurricanes selected Andrei Svechnikov. Svechnikov has been a crucial piece to this Carolina offense today. He averages around a point per game and is electric when on the ice. The only problem with Svech is that he's had a bit of an injury problem through the early stages of his career, and while his talent does make up for it now, I'm not sure how this will affect the Hurricanes if he continues missing time every year. I'll put Svech in the top line contributor category. His 294 points in 376 games played has earned him that spot, but I think he's got to stay more healthy if Carolina really wants to get the best out of him. From this point on, I think the rest of these players are just a bit too early to judge. Based on first impressions, it's looking like Kaapo Kakko might be a bust as a second overall pick and really hasn't proven much with the Rangers. Quinton Byfield has really taken that next step for LA this year and looks like he could end up being a solid top-line contributor throughout his career. Matty Beniers has showed some promise winning the Calder Trophy in his rookie season, but this year he's showing that he needs to grow a little bit more, having a bit of a down season. Simon Nemec is playing his first season and has 14 points in 28 games. Again, way too early to judge, but this is a positive sign. Leo Carlsson, again, like Nemec, it's in his first season, but has looked great so far with 19 points in 31 games played. Both way too early to tell, and all of these guys are going to go in the same category here. But this is my tier list for every NHL second overall pick from the year 2000 all the way to today. Let me know some other NHL or hockey related tier lists you guys would like to see in the future. Like this video and comment your thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one.